Thank you for coming to this new GMI webinar. And today we have we set at 7 a.m. our local time. It's mainly for attendees from Asia and Australia, New Zealand, Japan, and so on. And so we are hosting days. We are here. There is Massimo Pagani, is our product manager in GM International, 9 year experience in technical support, installation of product related to the processing industry. 20 years experience in the market in the field of repair and the field of repair and development for device for consumer electronics. Now he's a product manager and our responsible for assistance to the customers. Myself, Sandra Spaloro, working in GMI from 5 years. I'm a global account manager. I have more or less 20 years experience in automation, the process application market. We want to tell you something about the GMI, so the company that is holding this webinar. And this GMI is design and engineer a complete range of product dedicated for electrically safe application and seal application, of course. In the market where DCS, ESD, fire and gas, EIPS, different industries like oil and gas, chemical, petrochemical, mining, food, really critical application. GMI has more than 40 experience, that's been founded in 1993, and we have a complete internal production in our facility in Milan, but we have a global presence in 5 continents also. So, quickly go to the next slide. Yes, our former name was Econ Instruments. Now it's GM International. This is the product range. We produce intrinsically safe isolators or barriers, seal-related seal safety relays, seal isolators, power supplies also safe, multiplexer, termination board for application for DCS and safety PLCs, hard multiplexers, surge protections, and indicators also. And also the last bullet is our safety manual that we print and send free to all our customers. So if you need one copy, just let us know after this webinar. Of course, our goal is really the adhere to the most severe specification. We have been certified from 15 different accreditation body. We develop, invest a lot in new products, in new in people that develop new solutions for the market. And last but not the least, we provide 5 years warranty for all products that we produce. Okay, so as we say, we produce some 100% in Italy. We have complete traceability for all products, full testing for all devices, and really automatized production in our facility. Just a few words about where we are. We have 8 subsidiaries, direct subsidiary. The last office we opened in Russia. We have Houston. We have in France. We have in Middle East, in Dubai, in Japan, in Singapore, and in China. And also we have our subsidiary, of course, in Italy, where we have the headquarters. Then we have a lot of distributors all over the world. More or less 200 people working for GMI and a lot of installation. Some numbers about also the customers. So we have the reference list about system vendors, EPC, OEM, some end users, where our product have been used successfully. So I leave you to the topic today, to Massimo, that will explain a bit more about the smart relay application. Massimo, please.
Good morning to everyone. Thank you, Andrea, for your introduction. We start with our presentation. The scope of today's presentation is to specifically present smart relays and their application fields based on the experience collected by GM International over here. But before, I think Andrea wants to introduce the first poll.
Yes, we want to start this poll. Please answer. We take just 1 minute, sorry. So we want just have get more information from you, what kind of relays we are using, what type. If you can answer quickly, we'll also share with you the results. Okay, we can stop now. So basically, most of you use both smart and standard relays. Okay, but just a few persons use standard relays, so it's good to know that is your choice. So we can go to the topic, Massimo.
Okay, thank you, Andrea. Okay, first, what are the specific points of today's presentation? First point is what are smart relay and what are the specific model of GM International portfolio. After that, it's important to understand why choose a smart relay in respect to standard relay. And finally, where smart relay are used and what are the typical applications. In the specific case, we will examine application as normally energized solenoid valve and strobe beacons for fire and gas application. Dual tone sounder for fire and gas application is a special application. High availability double coil solenoid valve, and finally single phase load interruption solenoid valve. Well, what is a smart relay? The smart relay is a relay that guarantees a specific safety function, like a typical safety relay, but in addition, it has the ability to perform full diagnostic in the field. By complete diagnostic, we mean a diagnostic that includes complete control of line and load function in both operating condition of the relay, on and off status. Smart relay combine the basic functionality of safety relay with a complete line and load diagnostic. Here we can see the specific model of GM International, in particular way D5096S and D5294S with inside a particular type of matrix of contacts that allow us to make a relay compatible with both normally energized and normally de-energized load. And other kind of relay, D5097S and D5295S. This relay have the particularity that have a matrix with normally closed contacts in respect to normally open contact from D5294S and D5096S. Well, specifically, we analyze the model D5294S because it is the model, more complete model in GM International portfolio. This model have the most complete and fully programmable diagnostic circuit. D5294S is the most complete of the safety relay of the GM International range. It's suitable for both normally energized and normally de-energized load, with the possibility of completely configuring the diagnostic section. When used with normally energized load under normal conditions, the contacts are closed. They open on demand to bring the load to its safe state, load off in this case. For example, the valves open. Next slide, Andrea, thank you. Next. Okay. The contact redundancy make the D5294S robust to a single relay fault. In the other word, even in presence of a single relay fault, for example, we have a fault with the welded contact, D5294S is still able to satisfy the safety function. For example, to open the load on demand. In addition, thanks to the contact matrix, in this way we have two contacts in parallel and our contact in series. The D5294X exhibits high availability. If a contact opens by accident, the parallel contact redundancy allows the module to continue supplying the load. The loop is still under service. When used in normally de-energized load, we will have that under normal conditions, the contacts are open. They close on demand to bring the load to its safe state, in this case, load on. For example, the beacon lights up in a fire and gas application, for example. Even in this case, the contact in parallel allow us to have a redundancy and makes the D5294S robust to a single relay fault. Also, even in presence of a single relay fault, contact doesn't close, the D5294S is still able to satisfy the safety function. In this case, to close the load on demand. The fault of a single contact of the matrix is not sufficient to cause a dangerous fail. Even in this case, the D5294S exhibits a high availability, also in normally de-energized application. In fact, if a contact closed by accident, for example, due to a vibration, The serious contact redundancy prevents the load from energizing unintentionally. Well, specifically, we analyze in the next slide the fully programmable diagnostic circuit. Two different safety functions coexist inside the smart relay. The first and also the main function consists in the input to output or coil to contact activation deactivation. This is the typical function of a safety relay, which upon request is able to drive a load applied to it in a safe state. The second one is the diagnostic function. It provides full measures, voltage, current, resistance, earth leakage applied to the load, and also through MODBUS protocol, and it can activate, deactivate to fault dry contact. The smart relay is equipped with fault relay, and any anomalies can be acquired through the MODBUS protocol. And also, the smart relay is also available for installation in hazardous area, to be precise, in Zone 2, Division 2. And we can also say that the main function coil to contact is certified seal-free, while the diagnostic is certified seal-2. Let's analyze in the next slide the diagnostic section of this smart relay, checking what this functionality allows us to monitor. The smart relay is able to detect a line and load fault, both in the energized relay condition and the de-energized relay condition. But what can we monitor when the relay is in the on status? For example, in a typical application could be the monitoring of a normally energized part. Well, when the load is activated, the D5294S is able to monitor continuously the voltage applied to the load. And in this case, we can say that the range of the power supply of the load is more extended from 10 volt DC/AC up to 240 volt AC. And we can monitor continuously the current flowing through the load. And also in this particular models, we can detect an internal coil fault. This specific model of smart relay has the possibility to performing an internal diagnostic of its coil, and in the event of the fault, report this fault to the system. Well, we analyze now the status the relay is off, typically for fire and gas application where we need to know the health of the field loop. When the load is de-energized or deactivated, the D5294S is able to monitor continuously, naturally the power supply voltage, the load resistance, the impedance of the load to connect, and even in this case, the leakage from the load to ground. In this case, the relay can monitor the leakage resistance between the earth and the load. Well, let's see in the next slide specifically how the relay can communicate with the system. How and what are the ways in which a smart relay can communicate with the safety system? in particular the GM International Relay. Smart Relay can report the field status to the system in several ways. First, we have two fault contacts can be acquired by a system digital input port. This is a typical way which implies the use of a DCS with a dedicated digital input card, where the status of a contact, called a fault, is monitored by the system. Second system is if the system digital output port driving the smart relay support pulse testing, the fault in the field can even be mirrored directly to the digital output card without the need of an additional digital input card. This is a most important feature because to allow us to save a cost of engineering, a cost of wiring in the application. This feature will be investigated in more details later. We have the complete diagnostic information can be retrieved through MODBUS multi-drop RS 485 protocol if a MODBUS master is available on the system side. Remember that through the MODBUS protocol, the relay can be constantly monitored and also configured remotely. Finally, the photon bus. The photon bus can also be acquired by a system digital input card. The photon bus is normally used when a cumulative report from many other modules is required.
Massimo, we have a few questions from attendees, so maybe we can answer in the meantime.
Yes.
So, hi, it's from this says that is it possible to organize dark and light tests of electromechanical relays with the connecting load with spool strip? Maybe this is referring to the probably to the test proof. What do you think, Massimo?
Yes.
Probably.
Yes.
Clear the question. Probably is yeah in the relay there is in the safety manual there are the indication how to perform the complete the test proof 100% or 50%. So there are different possibilities how to test it. I think is that not clear. Maybe if we did not answer, please ask again or we send you later in mail. Okay. Another question was in normal de-energized mode, even if power is connected, relay contact will keep open, the R will get closed. So that is the safe state, I guess. So you can, Massimo, I think the question is if there is a safe state in case of the relay will fail. Probably, no?
Yes.
Can you read that? Probably is we can set a safe state for the relays in case of fail. That is maybe the answer. Is it right, Massimo?
Yes, it's correct. It's perfect.
Okay.
Well, we analyzed the second point of our presentation. What are the reasons that make us prefer a smart relay to a regular safety relay? Why going for a smart relay? Nowadays, full diagnostics is typically required along full loop. However, many widespread systems do not support diagnostic inside their digital output card. Smart relay make diagnostic available to systems that do not support it. Many modern systems do support digital output diagnostic. However, in many applications, they cannot directly drive the load because they are voltage and current limited. Typically, no more than 500 milliamp at 24 volt DC. Or when the load, for example, valve, beacon, sound, and so on, require more than 24 volt and or more than 500 milliamp of current. Relays are necessary. Yet, when using standard relay, that digital output diagnostic pulse testing dies at the relay coils and cannot reach the load in the field. As opposed to that, smart relay can go beyond the typical voltage current system limitation while keeping the full load diagnostics. Even if a modern system can perform load diagnostic, their capabilities may be limited. For instance, earth leakage monitor may not be supported, or extreme load, for example, beacons, may always be reported as an open circuit to the system. Smart relay may offer a solution to extend the DO diagnostic capabilities. Smart relay may offer a solution to extend DO diagnostic capability. In the following slide, we briefly see the model and the diagnostic capability of the GM International Relay seen so far. In the following slide, we see in ascending order of the diagnostic functionality, a series of GM International Relay or idle availability to the process. From the D5094S, D5095S safety relay without field diagnostic, but with high availability to the process, thanks to the internal contact methods. The D5096 and D5097S smart relay effective costs, which combine a complete load and line diagnostic with preset value. And finally, to the series of fully configurable smart relay with the possibility of MODBUS communication, detection of an internal fault related to its coil, and monitoring of the earth load leakage resistance. Let's see in more detail in the next slide what is the mirroring function of a smart relay. This is a most important function. In fact, allows to us to reflect information relating to the field fault directly to the supervised digital output card of a PLC, both in off state through the pulse test system and in on state by reading the static return of current. The DO digital output card of a PLC system can detect the information relating to the field fault. The system, through an upward of impedance variation of the relay input circuit, allows us to allow the supervised digital output card to see the fault in the field. This system allows considerable saving in engineering costs, as it allows us not to use a dedicated card, digital input card for this purpose. Okay, Andrea, we have another...
Okay, we have another poll.
Yes.
I want to launch it. Another 1 minute, not more. What feature for safety relays is most relevant for you? can stop voting now. So most important features are path testing, compatibility, and fault mirroring for you guys. So we can go to the next slide. And now we can talk. Thank you, Massimo. Now it's my turn, so I can take a
Yes, thank you, Andrea.
speaker. And so we're talking about a real world application. We have 5 applications with different systems. So maybe it's most interesting part or because it's a real situation. So need to be application is with a Normally-Energized solenoid valve. And strobe beacons for normally energized or fire and gas applications. And there are, of course, also horn sounders and so on. We have an application with the dual tone sounders for different alarms. Application with double coil solenoid valves for high availability. And the last one is single phase load interruption solenoid valve. We want to go quickly, so because it maybe takes time, this presentation. So this is has been made with the Emerson Delta-V safety system, and the application is a solenoid valve in the ESD, emergency shutdown system. So the application is like you can see here. So system is driving the load through the relays, and the valve, which is the load, is sending, of course, information about the its integrity. So this is the application on the normal. This is offline conditions, and the normal condition is the input of the 5294. The relays is energized, and in this case, the valve is activated, and the liquid start flowing in the valve. This is the normal condition. And so the system can acquire a diagnostic through a digital input card and also MODBUS port from the Delta-V DCS. Let's see what happens in case of safe state. So I have to reach a safe state in case of any problem. Safe state means that the system de-energized the load. So all the contacts inside our relays will open, and the liquid will stop flowing in the valve. That is the safe state condition. But can have also some fault, and that is the reason why you have to use this monitoring relays, as we call smart relays. And we can have a problem in my system. We can have a load open circuit. So of course, my system should work, but I cannot work because open the circuit which is powering the solenoid valve will open. So in this case, this fault will be detected by the relay, will be reported to the system through digital input. That is one condition, and the same fault can be also, as you can see here, acquired over MODBUS communication. So the important features that the customer apply in this case is using also the MODBUS communication. So in this case, you can use different relays connecting in the same cabinet through just one single port, MODBUS port. So I can have different failures. So in this case, I can have a short on my circuit, which is driving the valve. And also this alarm, this failure will be reported through digital input to the system. The same, of course, is acquired also through MODBUS as in the previous application, in the previous fault. We want to focus this point with you because, as you can see, there is one digital output from the relay that is, let's say, has to be used for any fault, also for the following fault, which is for the power supply. And so through the digital output, you can just revert that, to the system that there is a fault, but you cannot discriminate which kind of fault is it, because maybe there is a open circuit, a short circuit, supply problems, like in this case. But if you're using the MODBUS communication give you all details about the real type of fault. So the real type of fault is, in this case, you can know there is a specific register that you can read through your MODBUS master, your system, a specific register corresponding to the specific fault. So information is really correct. You see what happens. MODBUS is able to acquire the data and knowing that there is a fault supply, like in this case. So I can have other type of fault. So this is internal COIL. So here we have a relays, 4 relays in a matrix connection. And of course, one can fail. That is also possible in our system. But the important thing that you can, this fault can be detected. And means that I know that I have a fault. My system is still okay because the matrix will assure the functions, will assure the safety functions. But in this case, I have very high availability because I can fail one inside the relays and my system is alerted. So we have seen application with Emerson. Now we can see another one with DCS from ABB. This is a beacon strobe. In this case is a strobe application, and I have to drive this relay with the load with the strobe application, and it's very, very interesting also in this case, because my system is driving this load, and I can know that the system, in case of fault of my vehicle. And this is the application. We did not go in details in this case because it's like the others, but you can see that I can detect different fault, like earth leakage, or power supply fault, or open circuit, or short circuit, whatever is undetectable. And in this case, the information will be reverted through the system EDO card. So I don't revert, don't send, don't open, don't use another digital input in my system, because the DO card will, let's say, will read the failure on the terminals. The thing is that here you can, the failure will change the impedance of the DO card, and that will be detected as a failure. Yeah, this is the failure that you can, of course, detect it. Also, we have another application with the FOXBORO, the FOXBORO DCS. In this case, there is a sounder. This is a dual tone sounder for different alarm, okay? So we can go quickly into this one because it is like the other, but the architecture is a little bit more complicated now. Here we have two relays driving the sounders for different alarms. So I can, of course, use one DO, two DOs different for different alarms, and the two DOs will be connected to two different relays, of course, because I cannot have the same relays driving for different alarms. And oh, this is the standard application. I can see here that I can detect the failure for the power supply, open, short circuit, and also internal coil failure.
Andrea, in this case,
only detectable through the most complicated, the most evoluted relays, which is the 5294, 5295, and those one are the only one that are able to detect the internal coil failure. The question, no, I don't see. Maybe there is one question from one person here, Massimo.
Normally safety relay are in yellow color, but in yellow color I see the digital input card signaling from the relay. The normally safety relay, the function, the mainly function is in gray color for now.
Yeah, we have if the thing is we have a label on the, of course the case is gray because that is the point, but we have a label which is yellow on the front of the relay, so that it will be really clear that is we are talking about the customer is applying a safety relay. Okay, we can go to the next one. Next application with the
Andrea,
yeah.
For the previous application, it is important to say that for each ton of the device in the field, our relay maintain a complete diagnostic of load in both conditions, in off and on relay condition.
Yeah, that is another point indeed, very important. The diagnostic is available in both conditions and will assure that, say, because in the most, is you are talking about a low demand application, so application that you will apply and maybe you have to go to the safe state, maybe in only once a year or less than once a year, because low demand means less than once a year. And in this case, most of the time your load is off. Okay, if it's foreign gas, or is on if it is ESD. But you want to reach a safe state only in less than once a year. Important thing is that you have to be aware that there is a failure also in the condition, the normal condition for the release. And when also we are talking about foreign gas, you want to reach a safe state, so the load on with a very, very high possibilities without failure. And the diagnostic available also for when in off state is very, very important. Yes. Okay, we can go to the next one. So it's application with YOKOGAWA ProSafe. Right, so safety PLCs, and this is application with a dual coil, double coil valve. So in this project, 5294 is driving and 110 MEDC double coil solenoid valve. So what is double coil? Double coil is a really widely used whenever the availability is of a primary importance. In the case of a single coil open circuit, the redundant coil is still able to fully operate the valve. So we are talking about double coil with high availability. And the 5294 diagnostic indicates that, of course, there is a failure. So if you look at this slide, there is an additional failure that have been not described in the previous slide, because this is a valve or coil fault. So one coil in the valve can fail, and that will be detected by the 5294. Pay attention, only with this relay is able to perform that function. So is able to read a difference in the impedance of the coil, and that will be detected as a fault. That will be reported in the different ways, in this case by digital input or MODBUS communication. I don't know if there are questions from attendees. Massimo, you have questions?
Yes, we have a question from our attendees. Do we need EOL resistor in a mechanical limit switch to enable the diagnostic feature? No, it's not a necessary EOL resistor if not a request from the specific device in the field. But in some application, it's important to select or deselect the unipolar or bipolar configuration from the relay, because some device in the field requires a configuration for use with voltage-free contact. In this case, we have the possibility with the D5294S or with the D5295S to select in the configuration software the unipolar cut from the field side. This is important for some kind of application. Please, Andrea.
Go to the next one. It's maybe it's the last one with the HONEYWELL DCS system, and it's like the other, so we want to go quickly. So in the third project, the 5294 drives 220 VAC sounder, and also in this case I can detect all these kind of failures like power supply fault, open circuit, internal coil fault, and also I can use a MODBUS interface if I'm using this type of relays to detect all failures. Okay, so we have now, Massimo, now your turn about software. So we're gonna give you some details about the configurability for the relays.
Yes, thank you, Andrea. Now we analyze how the D5294S and D5295S can be also configured when the parameters to be monitored are really specific and the alarm triggering is not achievable with the standard monitor relays. It's also possible to monitor the status of the loop in the real time with the configurator through a dedicated software called SWC5090 and a small hardware interface. We can completely configure the module. For example, we can set up a window in which the value of voltage on the load, current flow in the load, and impedance of the load are included. In this way, when the measurement of the variables in the field come out of this window of configured value, an alarm is reported to the system. Software allows us to monitoring and have the data logging functionality for the record the variables in the field. Next slide, Andrea. Okay. Through the configuration software, it's also possible to read in real time the value of voltage, current, and the load impedance. A first example is what we see in the slide, where an impedance solenoid valve of about 100 ohm is monitored together with its current. In this specific case, the failure of a coil inside the relay causes redundancy to be lost, but the relay signals the anomaly while still maintaining the energized loop. This is possible thanks to the content metrics inside the relay, which guarantees us high process availability. In the next slide, we see in the large industrial compounds, refinery and so on, double coil valves are normally controlled by a single digital output driver. The double coil valve coil avoids false trips, keeping the system active even if one of the two fails. In this context, the D5294S is again an optimal solution because it can detect the opening of the single valve coil, hence providing predictive diagnostic from prompt maintenance while keeping high availability. Well, here, the next slide, we have an example of monitoring of firing gas system, where a partial short circuit affects the winding of the solenoid. This is the typical case where the setting of a specific threshold within which the load impedance value must fall can be monitored. When the impedance value falls outside the set value, an alarm will be detected. Provide towards the system in different ways that we have previously seen.
Yeah, I want to say something more about, because there are a lot of applications where you're using the beacon, horns, the light, and so on. And in this case, the impedance is very difficult to manage it because they have strange values, and most of the time standard relays, also our standard relays, can detect the failure even if there is no failures. But if you're using a configurable relays like this one, you can set the exact values where you want to set the alarms. So only in a real situation. Otherwise, normal conditions have been not reported as alarm because it's a standard functionality. Okay, so there is another question, another two questions.
Yes, Andrea, we have two questions from our attendee.
Yeah.
Can we access the configuration software remotely or have to access at the relay service port? But we have two possibilities to access of the configuration of the relay via hardware interface or via MODBUS. I want to remember to our attendee that the smart relay of GM International is totally configurable via MODBUS. Okay.
So basically, via MODBUS, you can also access via remote connection. Of course, if the owner will allow you to enter through VPN and so on. We're talking about safety applications. So in this case, a safety application, not sure what kind of permission can get it, because it can be really critical and risky. So the other question asking, would the extreme weather condition affect the impedance value of the solenoid valve in the field? Example, in the winter, of extreme cold and the hot weather in summer.
Absolutely, yes. Especially the temperature in the field, affect the behavior of the coils of the solenoid valves. The high temperature increase the impedance of the solenoid, but our smart relay, in particular way D5294S and D5295S, have the possibility to set impedance value between 5 ohms to up to 15 kilo ohms. This allows us to avoid or to set the threshold for this kind of device.
Okay, we answered this, so we can go to the next slide.
Okay, in the next slide, we talk about MODBUS interface, the relay modules, the D5294S and the D5295S, as we can say before, support MODBUS communication over an RS485 cable. Up to 127 modules can be arranged in a multi-drop network and monitored and configured by a single master unit, as shown in the following picture. Each slave contains tables of parameters. Each of them is univocally identified through an address, and when requested from the DO or from the system, makes available its value for reading and writing. What are the advantages of using MODBUS communication? With a single MODBUS RS485 interface, it's possible to connect and communicate with all the relay present on the same bus. Multi-drop connection is possible, and communication can cover a distance of up to 1,200 meters. Another advantage is the possibility of not using a dedicated digital input card system to monitor alarms. As we can say before, this feature allows us to have significant saving in terms of cost. Real-time information on the type of alarm and on the health of the load and the line. And it's also possible to MODBUS a complete remote programming of the relay. I leave Andrea for
Massimo, we have another question. You want to answer first? Can smart relay provide diagnostic for MCC contact, motor control center, or cabinet? For example, ESD to trip the monitor? The answer is, of course, yes, that is possible.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
Also, we have said, we said that is diagnosis is available for ESD or fire and gas, so opposite applications also. Okay, so we go to the conclusion of this presentation. So conclusion are, of course, this. We discuss about coil-to-coil C3 TÜV certified, because we are talking about only sealed and TÜV certified applications. Some relays offers, of course, this kind of diagnostic, so seal-to diagnostic with configurable voltage, configurable current and load, configurable load resistance, configurable leakage, coil integrity, internal fault. So a lot of different faults. Other can just say be simple relays where the application is sorry, one trouble with my computer. I don't want to lose everything. And some relays offer, let's say, limited monitoring functionalities, like just open short circuit, load open short circuit, and just supply presence, while the other configurable are more complete in from this point of view. We do have some relays with the MODBUS communications also, very important, and relays are compatible with digital output card monitoring pulse testing from the digital output. Sometimes in the DCS it's not possible to exclude that pulse testing, and but relays are compatible, so they are not affected by that pulse testing. And the last feature is very important is the default mirroring to the DO card. That is an advanced functionality that we can offer. So we have another questions.
Yes. Yes, our attendee asked to us if GM International run a webinar on your isolator products in the future. And
I'd say that we did already, and if you go to our training program, and there will be other session, not now in August because it's a low period of business, but we start again in probably also by first day of August. Look at our program. There is a specific training dedicated to the Zener barriers versus isolators, the advantage and so on. But also, if you wanna have just on-demand webinar, we can do, and just send us an email. You have all our details, and we'll provide you some dedicated to you. Okay. Another question is there configurable relays with diagnostic which able to stop the pump in GMI portfolio. Delimited the pump means current, so we do have relays up with load up to 10 amps, right, Massimo?
But the 5294X is more flexibility in application. I think if our attendee send to us the specific of your application, we can see if we can adapt the D5294S for this application.
Okay, thank you. So we can go to the last poll. So we wanna have your comments on how did we do. So if you want to rate this this webinar, it will be of help, of course. Your vote is anonymous, don't worry. So you can write whatever you want. Okay, if you don't have any further question, I don't see more questions from you. So we can stop. Thank you. Thank you for voting. And I wanna remind you our contacts detail. So are here, Massimo and I. If you have any question regarding this webinar or other webinar, I remind you there is a full list of webinars. There are 6-7 topics. More topics will be added to in the next future. And
if you have a technical
the
request,
other,
don't hesitate to contact us.
Yeah, indeed. And this webinar, like the other, have been recorded, so you can go to our website and search our YouTube link channel, so you can go there and see all the others also. If you want, the last question from attendees was on-demand webinar. Yes, we arrange also on-demand webinar if you want. You can just just to leave us the time to organize. Maybe it would be 3-4 weeks, depending, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 1 week if we already have the material. But I invite you to follow our program, and thank you again for being here, and we can see the next time. Thank you, Massimo.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, our attendee. And we will
See you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.